Yeah, I have seen repressed trauma memories. In other words, the unremembered memories in several of my patients over years. I think a lot of times, there's frustration. Why can't I remember? Why can't I get to it? Some people are saying, forget it. It's all made up. Other people are saying, move on. She is even telling herself, am I living a lie? Where is my reality?
Allie, let's sing, and Christina, let's sing Happy Birthday to Mikey. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
She was a very well-behaved child. Her teachers would always give me good reports about her, about how well-behaved she was, and about how she was always concerned about the other children.
So how's mommy and baby doing?
Tired.
I felt like I could always trust her to just, play, that she wasn't going to be getting into trouble, because she would always ask me, Mommy, can I do this? Or Mommy, can I draw? Or can I, she would just go and do, like my other two would do at times.
Say hi. Hi. Get ready to go. Let's take it shopping.
I think it was the day after she was born. My dad took us up. I remember I had my big sister shirt on. I was so excited to see her. And my mom was holding her in the waiting room, and I just saw the back of her head, and it was just black, curly, beautiful hair. And I was like, that can't be my sister. And then I saw the front of her, and I was just so excited. It was like a baby doll I got to play with. But I remember I just instantly loved her so much. She had a beautiful childhood. She's the baby. She always had somebody looking after her, always. She was never alone. Especially being the older sister, I always knew where Allie was.
Hey guys, Happy New Year, even though it's January 6th. I'm gonna try and be quick, but I did want to film a vlog because there are some updates. So the biggest thing is my hard drive failed, which was so fun. But I have started putting together the rough cut, and I did post like the first 15 seconds the other day, which I hope you guys like that, because I'd waited for a foggy day to film, and I think it turned out really cool. Sometimes this project can be really overwhelming. It's been a pretty big undertaking. There's just so many more things you have to consider. But yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. Hopefully I finish this thing soon. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's all I have to say.
I feel like I haven't moved on at all in some ways.
On the night of August 29th of 2020, what happened?
So I remember I was in my room, and then sorry, it's gonna take me a while to like recollect. I'd seen like this post a couple days beforehand, so it was something completely insignificant, but when I read it, something in my body just clicked. Suddenly, I remembered something happening in my childhood, but I couldn't remember what that something was. For a couple days, I waited for it to go away, but it wouldn't, and it just felt like there was this box in my head. There was something there, but I didn't know what was actually inside of it. I was like, you know what, I'll ask my mom, because if anyone's gonna know if something had happened in my childhood, it would be her. But I remember I went into her room. My mom was like getting ready for bed, and I sat on the edge of her bed, and I was just like, started talking to her, and I was like, hey, did anything like ever happen to me like as a child? And she was like, like, what are you talking about? So I explained like the whole story to her again. But then as soon as I said the words "the box" out loud, and that was the first time that I had done that because I hadn't talked about it to anyone else, I felt like I was pulled backwards and that I was like sucked back into my body. I didn't know what was going on. I just lost complete body autonomy.
She was just trembling all over and crying. And she's like, "Mom, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me." It scared me. I didn't know what was going on either. So I, took her downstairs to talk to her sister.
We had just gotten to bed, my husband and I, and the girls were asleep. Allie came to the door, and I could hear her kind of sniffling, and she came to the door and she said, "Christina, I need you, I need you." So I knew at that moment something's not right. She said that there was this box in her head, and she couldn't say the words, the box. Like she would start shaking and hyperventilating. She had these horrible thoughts, and finally she was able to talk about them out loud, and we were like, "What's going on in your head?" And
She said that, she wanted to see a counselor. So I thought, it's definitely time that she talks to someone.
I'm a licensed clinical psychologist for the state of Pennsylvania and the state of Ohio. And I work in private practice currently and have done so for probably 35 years. The pain that I see among patients is overwhelming. It's not until they feel that they're in a safe space where they can open up and share that they do. The age that I find people going through an awareness of a trauma, I would say between 30 and 33 years old. Allie herself came to me when she was 19, but I could see right away that Allie had something that she needed to tell. And she had a truth of her own that I don't know many people would understand.
When this all first began, I remember there were like a few things that I just kind of knew, and I can't really explain how I knew them. It almost feels like it's like written in your bones. I remember thinking, okay, I wasn't home. And so I have all these different sensory details that I know are attached to that moment, but the moment itself has kind of eluded me.
Prefrontal cortex, that's our main command center. Logic, decision-making, impulse control, meaning-making, as I like to call it, of certain experiences. That's a healthy neural pathway right there between limbic and neocortex. Trauma shuts down the command center.
Whenever Allie would bring up the idea of the box, there would be immediate bodily anxiety. When you see a patient tremble and visibly shake before your eyes when you bring up a particular topic, that's not normal. The body is remembering, the body and the mind are remembering something that happened to it.
I know she's told me she, remembers visiting my uncle's house where he had a pond and trails. She's thinking there's something that had happened to her that she just kind of blocked out of her mind. Allie. She had drawn some pictures that she showed him and she also shared with me. So those were things that were going on in her mind, and I was kind of blown away by it, to be honest with you.
I recall very vividly feeling her pain in a very strong way, because the images that she drew of herself were very telling. There was an image that she drew of herself, and then she had an image of herself over to the side. So it was almost like two alleys. This spoke to me of a lot more than an anxiety disorder or an eating disorder, not to minimize either. They're very, very telling themselves. What I saw was this depersonalization going on, which we call dissociation.
Dissociation is a spectrum. If I were to give it a super simple definition, it's the opposite of mindfulness. You're not present, you're disconnected. The body, when it goes into survival mode, it's just there to survive the moment. When the brain is overwhelmed, it fragments off those experiences. You see this a lot with rape victims. And so you run into these situations where victims, unfortunately, when asked about the event, they can remember, yes, that they were raped. They may not remember where, under what circumstances, and unfortunately, and there are some cases, they may not even remember who did it.
She became an individual who wasn't really herself experiencing the present, everything that was happening in the present, because she was preoccupied with what happened to her in the past.
For a while, I was kind of in this hell of did something happen, did something not happen. I started with struggling to fall asleep.
I have two little girls, Evelyn and Rosalie.
Huh? Are we get a beach house?
Evelyn was the first grandchild and then her first niece. So they have a really, really special bond, and Evelyn looks up to her greatly. You can tell how Allie's completely filled with joy when she's with them.
Has she ever described any of the dreams that she's had?
Not to me, to my mom, but not to me.
She dreams a lot about her nieces and her one niece, Evelyn. I think where they're getting hurt, and just really tormenting her. She won't even tell me they're so bad.
When we're awake and alert and conscious, we're on guard. And we know what we're going to say, and we know what we're going to do, and we know where we're going to go. But when we're asleep, we don't have that advantage. And so that's when things came out in terms of nightmares.
Evie! Evelyn! Here!
I think I see the parts of the trauma kind of reflected in the nightmares, or at least the parts that I feel are, I think, connected. They usually involve some kind of body of water. They involve a lot of people being around, and typically it's like family. No matter if it's, my mom or my dad's family, doesn't really matter. It's just like a mix of people that I know. Sometimes it involves witnessing or like partaking in like incest. Sometimes it involves someone like trying to sexually assault me. But I think most prominent ones are the ones that I would get of my niece. I would see Evelyn drowning and I couldn't do anything about it. No matter what I did, I just couldn't save her.
She went into like a really deep depression because she just didn't know who she was, and now she was, convinced that something had happened to her. She had this traumatic event happen to her when she was a kid. So she was so determined to find out, why am I experiencing this trauma now? And she was she wasn't happy. There's no joy at all in her.
Hey guys, I haven't filmed an update in a while. So I went back to my old high school, not voluntarily, let me start by saying that. So I've been like reading my old journals and stuff and like looking at old pictures, and I guess like when I was a senior I did like all these projects, and I just feel like the way that I saw the world was idealistic, and I was really curious, and I was just different, and I felt like I was more colorful. When everything happened in 2020, I just kind of lost like that version of myself, and it happened so like I like remembered, and then everything was just different, and I don't know, nothing went back to normal.
She has always been an observer, and I believe as a little child that if she did experience trauma, and I do believe she did, I would say that she was in a pre-verbal age, which means she was 2 to 3. But she observed and she saw everything that was going on. And I think they're the things that are locked in her memory. This had to be a very, very stressful situation for someone going through trauma. They can't put their finger on exactly what happened, but they feel something definitely did happen. Their therapist believes something happened, but friends, family may not come alongside.